I think a lot of times it's just because like they did some sort of vibes-based reasoning, right? Like, oh, that felt too easy. Oh, I just didn't understand that one.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not going to make decisions based on that. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 7Sage podcast. We are your hosts, Bailey and Rahela. I haven't been on in a while. Rahela just started joining, so I'm super excited. We haven't been able to do a podcast yet, and I know it's going to be good. I know she has a lot of LSAT wisdom to drop. How you doing today? Are you excited?
I'm very excited. This is a great topic, and I'm doing with someone amazing. Every time I've spoken to Bailey, she always has nuggets of wisdom and just a fun person to also talk to. So it's a great combination. So yeah,
Yay. Thank you, and same to you. Yay, let's get into it. Okay, so topic today is going to sound kind of simple. You might want to turn off the podcast as soon as you hear it, but don't. It's going to be a big thing that might be like a breakthrough for you, dare I say. It was definitely a breakthrough for myself once I really fully understood what this meant. 4 wrong answers, 1 right answer. That's all that it is. There really is only 1 right answer on this LSAT for every single question. 4 wrong answers, and they're always wrong for a reason. Chances are there's multiple reasons why they're wrong. So yeah, I don't know. Let's just discuss this idea first of all. Like, Rahela, were you able to kind of pinpoint that when you were studying? Was that something that you learned and then you were like, oh yeah, this makes sense now?
Yeah, and it has all these implications as well that even as I got better and better and better, when it comes to even speed or even more accuracy, there's no such thing as more accuracy, I guess, but like getting more accurate, I had to really think about this particular topic. And even today, like when I'm teaching, I'm like, hey, this topic will come up often, and students don't even realize that while they understand it, but they don't realize the implications of this topic. And so it affects their school, their accuracy, their timing. How about you, Bailey? I have a good example to give, like from yesterday's session as well.
Ooh, perfect.
I had a student on, great student. She's scoring in, mid 160s. I think she can get into 170s. So we're looking at timing. So we're having her do a question, and I love her. And then she does a really great analysis of the stimulus. It's a strengthening question. She goes to the answer choice, and it's a 4-star question, so it's difficult, but she's doing the job. She gets to A. She's like, this would apply here, and therefore this would strengthen. But there could be another better answer. This works, but there could be another better answer. So I'm going to go ahead and read. I was like, no, we
have to right. Like there's literally no such thing. I know it feels weird. And it feels like even the way that the question stem is phrased for strengthen or weaken, it'll say which of the following most strengthens. So that can really make you think like, okay, well, a lot of these are going to be strengtheners. I got to figure out which one is like the biggest strengthener. It's really not like that, honestly. The other 4 answer choices are either weakeners or they're neutral to the argument. There's no such thing as like a better of the 2 right answers. There's never any 2 right answers, always 1 right answer. Okay, cool. So did that answer end up being right?
Yeah, and I think that's it. Most students don't realize when, they have done enough work to move on. And I don't know, Bailey, what are some of the ways that this has come up for you? Because I have like a couple of more instances.
I have so many ideas. Yes. Okay, so I think a lot of times this happened for myself. That happens for a lot of students. You get down to 2 answer choices and you're like, okay, I feel like these are both good contenders. I could make a case for either of them to be right. And then you might be thinking, well, they're both right, so I got to figure out which one is more right. No, that is not what we want to do. So quick little step-by-step process when you're down to 2 answer choices. I mean, the first thing that I do personally is just usually I get down to 2 if I feel like they're pretty similar. And so I got to figure out what the difference is in my own words. Like I can't just be thinking, oh, well, they must be different answer choices. Moving on. No, put the difference into your own words. Like what's special about this one? What's special about this one? Then instead of looking for which one is more right, look for which one is not wrong. Like pit the red flags against each other. That's what I'm going to get out my highlighter. I'm going to highlight a couple words or phrases in each answer choice that just might not be supported by the text if it's a most strongly supported or a must be true. They might not be something that would really be a strengthener on its own or a weakener on its own if it's a strengthen or weaken question. Maybe I'd have to add in my own assumption to make it work. So that's where you're going to be able to go through. And then you just got to figure out which one is like the lesser of all the evils if you want to. If you feel like they both have potential red flags, then go with the one with the least amount of reasonable red flags here. But really, there's just one right answer and four wrong answers. And so there won't be anything actually wrong with the right answer that you end up with. Does that
That is
resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely right. And I think anytime I teach eliminating trap answer choices, it
Yes, I love
always
that class.
yeah, me too. It always comes down to like similar sounding answer choices, especially when they just reverse the conditional. And they're
Yes,
like,
they
they
love to do
look
that.
correct. And I'm like, well, let's deep dive into them. Because one of them is not right. And it's in doing that deep analysis work that you'll find out which one of them has a mistake. It could be the noun, it could be the verb, it could be the predicate. But unless we are willing to do that work, we're not gonna find.
Right.
So instead of rereading and like they're both right, no, one of them is wrong. So let's do that work. So yeah, I think it's that classic mindset that just shifting a little bit can give you a much better outcome as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, especially for those strength and weaken, especially for any of those where you feel like it's just a little bit more subjective and you maybe get frustrated with the question type because you're like, well, I don't know, like I could see it in this way and then this would be the right answer, but LSAC doesn't see it that way. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, take a deep breath, pause. There's got to be one right answer and four wrong answers here. So, something that kind of helps me is just kind of getting in the heads of the test makers. Like when you're breaking down those answer choices and you're trying to figure out which one is wrong, which one is right, why did they say it like that? Like, focus on the words that they chose and be like, well, if they were trying to create the right answer, would they have put this like really strong, unsupported word in there for like a most strongly supported or a must be true question? No, like I think they crafted that on purpose to be a potential red flag that maybe people just read too fast and they overlook that one word that was really strong. So get in the heads of the test makers. Like focus on how did they craft it? So there was four wrong answers, one right answer, because there always has to be.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. You do wanna get in the heads of test takers because they're also copying their own work. Like, I feel like they're like
Right.
regular people who are like, correlation causation,
Right, like,
say
they don't have that many ideas, honestly.
no.
Like, once you get familiar with all the different trends or, like, different kinds of flaws, correlation, causation, sufficient,
Yeah,
necessary mix-up, or just, like, formats of how they create stimuli, phenomenon,
yes.
hypothesis type of setup, you'll be
I
like, "Oh,
think
sweet. They don't
students
it's
sometimes
not that scary."
yeah, sorry for cutting you
No,
off.
sorry, you go.
No, I was in same vein, I even sometimes have students, like, say a parallel wrong answer choice that emulates it. I'm like, "Look, like,
Right.
that's all they can do is that make it overbroad or, make that, can be to, like, likely now," Like, that's all they have at their disposal, so doing
Right.
going with that mindset that I'm a linguistic evaluator, like, there is, like, something
Nice.
wrong here can actually help you. I also
I like
feel like
that.
when you were talking about 50/50, and you can tell me what you think, sometimes when students get close and they have this mindset that one is better, they go away with, "Well, I was close." Like, "I was close, I was almost there."
Right.
And it's like, "No, no, no, like, we are close, but you have to change and figure out which one's wrong." Like, what do you think about that when students get down? Like, "Well, I almost picked it. It was F."
Exactly.
And I was like,
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, because that's the first thing that I think, like, people will
"Yeah,
come to me and they'll be like, "Okay, well, I keep picking the trap answer. I keep picking the almost right answer or
yeah,
the second best answer." And I'm like, "No such thing." And once you start understanding that, it's just gonna make you so much better at the test. Like, there literally are always four wrong answers, usually for multiple reasons, one right answer. Drill that into your brain. I started like literally writing that on my scratch paper at the beginning of a practice test because, like, you start with blank scratch paper, but as long as you jot down whatever you want to remind yourself right away, you could do that on the real test too.
yeah."
Four wrong, one right. Always, always, always. Drill that into your brain. Make sure that you're always making decisions like that. It's just going to make this test so much easier once you keep going.
I had, I guess, like, a version of that. It was if you think it's wrong, eliminate it. Because,
Nice.
sometimes when you keep around the wrong answer choices, one, you get more 50/50. Now you've gotta do more.
Right.
And also sometimes you need to eliminate all to give the right one a chance to come forward. But if you
That's a
keep
very good point.
you keep the wrong one around, it just you keep coming back to it. You're like, "I know what's wrong with you, but maybe, right? If I overlook the wrong thing, it works." It's like, "No, no, no."
Right. Yeah, it's like don't be nice or charitable to these answer choices when you're going down them. It's
Yeah.
it's like if you see something that's a valid red flag, like it's an evidence-based reason why you can get rid of it, personally, I keep my highlighters out. I just highlight exactly what's wrong with it and I get rid of it.
Right.
And then if I end up eliminating all of the answer choices, which happens sometimes, it's
Yeah.
actually not the end of the world. Like I feel like people really freak out when that happens, but it's like, wait, no, I kept little notes to myself. I know why I thought each of these were wrong. They were all evidence-based reasons. Now let's just go back and see if maybe I was too nitpicky with one of them, or like a lot of times what I'm trying to think of is like, you got to be the same level of mean or nice
Yeah.
to each answer choice. You can't just
Yeah.
all of a sudden be like, oh, well, B, I like that word there. So I'm just going to really keep this one around and be kind of like confirmation bias against myself in terms of thinking that it's just the right answer, not even carrying out that critical scrutiny of could it be wrong
Yeah.
versus all these other answer choices. Maybe I just have this like negative attitude already going in. I've already confirmed to myself that I think it's B. So I'm just going to eliminate C, D, and E for like silly reasons.
Yeah.
Always evidence based reasons. And you're going to
Always.
get so much better.
And I tell students, if you are not going to read C, D, and E carefully, that means you're very confident about B being right. So,
Right.
like, if LSAT was that easy as I could just like willy nilly just scan, I would do.
Right. I
Come on,
wish. Yep.
use your test. So either you do the work or you don't do the work. Either way, it's fine. But you have to know. You have to like, and I think it's completely healthy to eliminate 5 answer choices because you need
Yeah.
to for really hard questions to give like maybe did I read something wrong? Maybe did I miss a particular implication? I'm not reading at like a superstar level, like a deep dive in, like
Right.
unless I'm in trouble. I'm like, what did I miss? I'm not doubting myself unless I'm in trouble. So to me, it's like a healthy check that some of them are going to be really difficult and I'm going to have to spend, maybe a little bit more time on that one question I've eliminated all. So I should get excited
Right.
when I do get down to a hard question because I know it's the curve breaker one. Like I know,
Right. And then you're like, okay, I can figure this out. It's like a challenge. This is the
yeah,
final boss question. Let's go.
like
Like we can
I
do
missed
this.
something. Question STEM. Let's recheck. Stimulus. Let's recheck.
Right.
Answer choices. Did I make a mistake? Yeah.
And by the way, I'm glad that you're saying that part of your step by step is to go right back up to the stimulus or the question stem and just like number one, double check that you're answering the right question. Number two, double check that you have the right conclusion and that
Yeah.
you are making sure that you're actually doing something that's like based on the stimulus. Because I think a lot of people, what happens is they get down to two or they eliminate all of them and then they're like, oh shit, I don't have time to go back and do anything else with the stimulus. And it's like, no, no, no. If they didn't want you to look back at the stimulus, they would have covered it up after you read it. Like it's there for you. You're supposed to go back and refer to it. And it's actually going to save you time. Like I know it feels like that takes more time, but it'll literally save you time. Because think about the alternative. Just
Yeah.
sitting there staring at each answer choice until all of a sudden something's supposed to magically pop out to you. That just doesn't even make any sense. Like always go back and just double check the stimulus, double check the question stem, make sure that you have your head on straight because a lot of times it's just like a reading misunderstanding that all of a
Sure.
sudden makes it so these two answer choices both seem equally right. And then it's like, oh, wait, but I forgot about the fact that the conclusion was just talking about, this smaller scope. And,
Yeah.
that gets rid of this other answer choice, which is too general in scope, for example.
It's been the case where like I'm like down to 50-50. I read, let's say A again, then I read careful B again. I'm like, let's skip. I'm still 50-50. It's gonna restart my process. I come to question stem and maybe it has a tiny detail. Not
Right.
about the conclusion. Sometimes I've seen like little additions to the stimulus, or I read the
Right.
first line. I'm like, ooh, I didn't think it thoroughly. It was context, but it really matters. It really does.
Right.
Those cows that I thought were just part of the
Right.
background
Yes.
are
Same.
actually
Sometimes you write off full sentences because you're like, oh, that's just fluff.
yeah, and
Honestly, it's rarely just fluff. There's usually little breadcrumbs
yeah.
everywhere.
Or maybe you're distracted by like so much else happening. You
Right.
come back, you're like, oh yeah, there was this part, this noun that I didn't think about the implication, and now suddenly things are, different, and that's okay. That's good. That's healthy. Now you don't want to do this work for every question, like this
Right.
type of work. So it's healthy. Eliminate the ones you see wrong. Pick and go for like when you see one right one, Bailey. Like I feel like because I do that, I have time to do this for some questions.
Right.
What do you think as well? This mindset.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think like understanding that there's one right answer, like as soon as you get to it, say that it's A or B. I mean, like that's kind of scary, There's few situations where I would just let myself pick A and move right along. But if it's a question in the first 15, if it's a sufficient assumption or a main conclusion question or maybe an argument part where I'm just like, these are pretty cut and dry. Like if I found a perfect answer here, there's no such
Yeah.
thing as another answer choice that's even going to be a contender. You can get that confidence up and just move on. And that's exactly where you're going to be saving your time for other questions where you really do have to carry out that critical scrutiny of all of those answer choices. So, exactly. It's just like a way to redistribute your time. And you definitely don't want to get too overconfident, especially when you're first studying. Like, you don't want to just always be thinking, oh, I found the answer that I think is right. Let's just move on. I'm not going to read the rest. No, for the most part, default to reading all of them. But as you continue to get better and better at this test, and as you realize which question types are just a little bit more predictable, a little bit more like, I found the right answer in answer choice A, I can trust it, you're going to be able to just get so much faster, so much more confident at this test.
Yeah, that goes to like building accuracy as Bailey's talking about. That's super important initially. You do want to do that untimed. I would say even take a little bit longer to finish and go for accuracy first. Why is
Right.
the choice wrong or right? And you want to have concrete reasons. And you also want to think about how that would play out in a question in future because you're not going to see this again. So if you see
Right.
them do the same mistake, as, same similar mistakes, you're like, all right, I can probably predict that when they do that, it is wrong for this instance.
Right.
So
And
it's
that's
a
you
lot.
getting in the heads of the test makers, like what
Yeah,
we were saying before. So it's
yeah,
perfect. Like it's all coming together.
yeah, yeah.
Yay. And you could totally do this as a drill. Like I would say if you are hesitating right now because you're like, this feels like it's going to take too long to really figure out exactly what's wrong with each of these answers in one right answer. Untimed practice. Like keep doing untimed practice until you're liking your consistent accuracy. And then you can start to taper yourself down and get over to time practice. But do a drill untimed. Maybe it's 5 questions, all of a similar type. Maybe it's just like a grab bag of like 15 questions. You could do it based on your high priority question types and call it like a 4 wrong answers, 1 right answer drill. Your job is to fully eliminate 4 answer choices, highlight exactly why you eliminated them, choose one for a reason. Better yet, highlight your evidence for the right answer in the text. And then you'll just be so much more confident moving on after these. Like you even do that every day for a week. You're going to have trained your brain to start thinking about this differently. And then you'll be able to pull it off on time practice.
I completely agree. I think untimed work and thinking about it this way can really improve your confidence and accuracy. And then learning to taper, I think people think it's harder.
Yes.
It's harder than it really is. I feel like once I was thinking like the right process way, like one right, four wrong, timing
Mhm.
also just became faster because
Right.
I was like, all right, this is why this is wrong. Got it. So
Right, exactly. It's like confidence. You just get
yeah,
confidence from that, which I think people don't understand how much confidence makes you go faster. Like people are always looking for timing hacks of like, I think they're expecting something like, oh, well, if you notice that something is just context, you don't even have to read the whole sentence. Move right along.
no,
We're
no,
never in our right minds going to give you that advice. You read every single
no.
word in that stimulus for sure. You
Yeah,
break down in your own words, what are they saying? What are they trying to prove? What's the gap or the hole in the argument if there is one? You're
yeah.
investing your time up front in that read, and then you're able to save yourself time because you're so confident with your decision making in those answer choices. So, totally worth it. Like all of these things are going to pay off big picture and also like on the small scale. You're going to start noticing this happening and you're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I understand the LSAT now."
Good, good. And as you get like more accurate and more confident, you can do cool things with this idea as well. Like one of my
Right.
favorite things is like because there's four right and one wrong, you don't need both to get correct under time conditions. So like the way
Yes,
you talk about
exactly.
you can pick and go, but also like let's say I'm reading an answer choice, I'm like, what in the world are you saying? This is like abstract, like super long, whatever.
Right, like, I'm just not getting it.
Yeah, you could just move on because what if you found the right answer? Well, now heck, I don't have to spend time breaking this down. I just need one of them.
Right,
Or what if you eliminate four? I don't have to understand you to know that you are right. Like, what do you like?
right.
Did that
Yeah,
happen?
because the other ones were wrong for a reason, so, like, I don't even have to go all the way and fully understand why this one's right. Do it
Yeah,
in untimed practice, but when you're on the real test, a lot of times I'm just getting down, like, I'm like, "I know that these 4 were wrong for a reason. This last one is just kinda confusing me, but whatever, I gotta move on."
I gotta move on. And when you know that confidence, when you have that, there's one right and four wrong, and you eliminate four, I don't even like freeze or fret that I've eliminated 4 and I don't want to,
Same.
I'm like, "Oh, that is my
Right, because
procedure."
yeah, the panic kinda sets in, right? You get down to E and you're like, "Oh, no, is it actually E?" No, trust
Yeah,
yourself. You did it for
yeah,
evidence-based reasons.
yeah. Well, now if I can't understand it and eliminate it, that's a whole new different scenario, but
True, and
bringing
that's another
possibility.
thing. Don't be eliminating answer choices just because you don't understand them or because the vibes are kinda off or something.
Yeah,
Always evidence-based reasons. Like, "Ooh, I know this is wrong because this word just is too extreme for what we were talking about in the text," for example.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think also then gets you to focus on the right steps in answer choice instead of like, I think as Bailey is talking about, like, this feels or like this looks correct. It's
Right.
evidence based. You're like, what are my steps? Like, all
Right.
right, it's NA. I'm either doing the negation test or must be true and nothing else. Uh,
Exactly.
you really get to that evidence based systematic step way of thinking. And it's just a whole new game once you know that you don't have to do everything. You just have to do enough things to be confident,
Right.
like in whatever strategic way you're getting this correct. Because who's gonna, like, no LSAT writer is gonna be like, "Oh, you didn't understand B, but you picked B. Why?"
Right. Yeah, like, they don't know. They didn't know that you didn't understand it. That's such a good point. Yes. It's like it's just right or wrong.
It's not wrong. And through, like, if you get it through POE or if you get it process of elimination or you get it through
Right.
confidence, great, great. Lily, what else comes to your mind when we're talking
Okay,
about it?
so I'm thinking about because we kind of have already talked about like what to do when you're down to two answer choices,
Yeah,
but what about when people consistently have this problem where they're switching away from the right answer? Like maybe it's during the real test, maybe it's blind review. They had the right answer for a while, then they psych themselves out of it. They choose another answer choice. I think it
yeah.
still kind of coincides with this. What's your prescription here? Like, what do you tell students to do?
Yeah, I think it could be one of 2 things. I think sometimes I'll see students go like, "But it can't be that easy."
Yes, exactly, exactly. I used to do that all the time. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm like,
just like
"Oh," especially for I keep saying, like, "most strongly supporter must be true" as an example in this, podcast, but it's a good example for this. A lot of times, "most strongly supporter must be true" just sound like a rephrase of the text, and you're like, "Ah, nah, this is a hard test. There's no way it's gonna be that simple."
yeah,
No, no, that means it's right, actually. Don't
same.
psych yourself out.
Yeah, same with NA. I think people freak out about NA, so
Yes, they're
sometimes
like, "Wait, I feel like that was obvious. I already assumed that."
yep,
That's
yep,
literally what the question is asking. What do
yeah,
you already have to assume if the
yeah. They're
conclusion
like, "Wasn't this
follows?
stated?" I'm like, "Check, because if it's
Go
not,
back, look. Yeah.
oh,
That's
we're
funny.
out, we're out." I have one more, but I wanna hear from you. What do you notice, when
So
students
yeah, I mean, you're right. I think a lot of times it's just because like they did some sort of vibes based reasoning, right? Like, oh, that felt too easy. Oh, I just didn't understand that one. It's
yeah,
like, we're not gonna make decisions based on that. And I think it just comes back to this idea of like, well, there's four wrong answers, one right answer. So if you had an answer that was perfectly fine, you're
yeah,
just thinking, it's too easy, or maybe there's a better one out there. Change that mindset. No such thing as a better answer. You got to find something wrong, like explicitly wrong. You can highlight it with the answer you're moving away from in order to move on. So when I also started jotting that down on my scratch paper, like must have something wrong with an answer if you're going to change away from it, that also changed the game because it's just like, oh, wait, it seems kind of obvious now looking at it, but I can't just be choosing a different answer because it's catching my eye. I think we just posted something like this on the socials, but it always reminds me of that meme where there's this guy, he has this girlfriend, there's another girl walking by. He has a
like,
perfectly good girlfriend right there. He's holding her hand. Then all of a sudden he's like, "Ooh, look at that one. Maybe that one's better." It's like, don't
you
get tempted. You have a perfectly good girlfriend. You have a perfectly
You
good
know
answer
this
choice.
one. You know this one. You know the ins and
Right.
outs, everything about this one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good. And I think it also comes down to like abandoning your process. I think you were kind of hinting it at.
Right.
It's
Yes.
like kind of like the girl guy holding the girl's hand. It's like he dated her for a while. He's done the work here, and he knows.
Right.
But then suddenly, because you're not confident in your own work, you abandon this. What if, like this, what if I'm wrong? What if I
That's
could be,
good.
and I think that leads
Right.
you to making that mistake. And it comes down to like asking the right questions to your brain. I think you have to think of your brain
Right.
machine. The questions you ask it, it'll produce the results. So instead of asking, what if I'm wrong? You have to ask, as Bailey's saying, what is wrong verbally, like evidence wise, with this answer? The
Mhm.
first thing I ask, I'm like, fine, you can pick the other one. And we'll find out what is the analysis, but what is wrong with this answer choice. Even with flagging, a lot of
Right.
people over flag. And I'd be like, all
Yes.
right, but what's wrong? Well, it's like, well, it's not quite my preface, but what's wrong with like when you do your steps? Like, is it not working out? It's like, no. It's like, well, we don't get to flag it. Not
Well,
saying
then, yeah, don't flag it. Just be
there
confident.
we go.
Exactly. Yes.
Flag is time and time is points on LSAT.
Right. And we do keep talking about these like step-by-step processes that you want to implement into your studying. If you're sitting here like, okay, wait, so tell me the steps. Well, the thing is, there's lots of different ones for lots of different question types, right? Like, depending on how you look at it, there's like 16 to 20 different LR question types. And each of them have like even ever so slightly a different workflow, even if they're pretty similar question types. And so come to classes, honestly. I'm always sharing documents in my classes that give you little step-by-steps that you can follow. I'm always focusing on giving takeaways of like, what are the two tests or one test that you could do on your answer choices to double check it? Like we were saying before, for necessary assumption, it's just this, is this a must be true if the conclusion follows from the premises? When I negate this answer choice, like if I were to assume it's not true, does that destroy the argument? Two tests, it's going to be more question type specific, but once you keep adding those all together and kind of better yet, putting them into your own words, creating your own ongoing list of what to do to get the right answer for each of these questions, that's also how you can get that confidence up and how you can be sure that you have the right answer.
I totally agree. I think it starts from like knowing, like, just having an evaluator and like, how should my reading approach be? Like, as Bailey's saying, like, even context, you think about it. Like, you're thinking
Right.
about each word. Then it stops with, like, am I, analyzing as I read, not just understanding it as I read, but analyzing as I read. And then do I know my steps for this question type? Fine, I know it. Can I implement it? Am I being actually very disciplined about implementing it? So sometimes even
Right.
questions that I'll ask, I'll be like, all right, great. If you see ignores a possibility for flaw, a lot of things are
Yes.
ignored. Like, what do you do there? Like, what does it mean to me?
Exactly.
You have to know how to even break down. And if you don't know, that's nothing like wrong about it. You come to class, as Bailey's saying, and you drill us. You're like, what is this? Like, what am
Right.
I supposed to do here? And if you are tackling it, it's probably because we also had the same problem at some point and had to figure it out.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for. We're going to help you out. We're going to make it easier. That's exactly the point of these classes.
Or we're gonna
Okay,
tell you
yay.
about it because it doesn't really matter. Sometimes I'm like, don't worry about it. The writer's
Right,
like,
exactly, and then we can tell you that, yeah, I feel like there was so many things while I was studying where I was like, "I just need, like, some expert opinion on this because
yeah,
I can't tell." Like, feels like
yeah,
sometimes an answer choice like this is right, sometimes it's wrong, and it's like, well, likely it has to do with the question type specifically, but maybe sometimes it's because you're looking at a really, really old PT, and in general, the nature of the test has changed a little bit depending on different question types over time, like, really old main conclusion questions, for example, it might be some sort of main conclusion that's not explicitly stated. Whereas the modern test, it has gotten more and more where the main conclusion is explicitly stated and the right answer is just going to be a rephrase of a stated sentence in the text. And so things like that, come and ask us. Like we know exactly what's been going on. We've seen all of these old practice tests. We can help you out there.
definitely can, definitely can.
Yay. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot here. Any last nuggets of wisdom that we want to drop?
Don't stress if like you're currently not getting the accuracy or speed. I think a lot of
Agreed.
stress about it. Instead, focus on the one habit you're going to change, whether it's in
Yes.
reading, whether it's in your approach in the answer choices, whether it's implementing the mindset that me and Bailey talked about today and doing untimed work. But pick one thing, like one step in front of the other. And I think you're going
Agreed.
to see a lot of difference. And even this little mind shift change can make a big impact. Bailey, what about you? And I know you have tons, so go for it.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I'm glad that you say that because I think there was so many points in my LSAT studying where I was just so overwhelmed and I was like, there's so many question types. I keep missing them for all these different reasons. Like this just feels impossible. Well, of
Yeah.
course it's going to feel impossible when you look at the big picture like that and you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. Breathe, take it off, throw that weight over to the side. Who cares? You're just going to do one thing at a time. Exactly. So I like that a lot. Like write down a couple takeaways that you got from this podcast today and then make those part of your goals for this next week. Focus on implementing this four wrong answers, one right answer into your week. We already shared that drill that you could be doing. We talked about the advice that you might be wanting to look at if you are changing your answer. Sorry, I was like, where did my train of thought go? If you're ever changing your answer from the right one to the wrong one, come up with more things that you could have gotten out of this and just make sure that you're implementing it into your strategies. And it's just like, yeah, one baby step at a time, one foot in front of the other, over and over and over. You're going to get there.
And the next thing you've climbed the mountain, the Mount Everest that is this LSAT. So you'll be on the other side.
Right. Exactly. Agreed. Okay, cool. And quick plug, if you guys want any sort of one-on-one tutoring or help with any of the admissions part of this, well, just admissions, getting into law school, like help with your applications or essay writing, check out those services on 7sage.com. There's a little services like more, get more button, and you can check out all of those. And then like, comment, subscribe, comment below, ask us questions. If you ever have a question that you ask and we choose it to answer it, you're going to get a free month of live classes. You could start coming to these classes and get the extra wisdom that we're saying that we're sharing in those.
Yeah, come see us, and come talk to
Yes.
us. It can only benefit you. Like, there's no harm.
Right. Exactly. Agreed. Okay, yay. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I'm excited to do this again sometime soon.
Yeah, I cannot wait
And
to talk to all of you and Bailey as well. This was fun talking to you, Bailey. I knew it was gonna be fun, but
I knew it was going to be fun. I knew we would have so much fun. Perfect. I'm glad it worked. All
same,
right.
same.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
See you guys
everyone.
soon.
Talk to you all soon.